The moment the young couple stepped across the threshold of the old house, they both stopped mid-step. They didn't speak. They didn't have to. The smell spoke for them. It hit them like a physical blow, heavy, sour, the kind that clung to the back of the throat and made the eyes sting. An odour so thick that even the open windows couldn't fight it. Milo Harrington shot his wife Zara a quick sideways glance. Her nose wrinkled, his jaw tightened. Both thought the same thing at the exact same time. We shouldn't be here. But walking out immediately felt rude. The owner, a tall, stiff, impatient man, was standing right beside them, waiting. So they chose polite over comfortable. "Go on in," the man urged with a tone too cheery to be genuine. "Take a full look around. Great bones. Great neighbourhood. Won't find a price like this again in Charlotte." Zara nodded, even though everything in her body screamed, "Turn around. Leave. Now." The smell worsened as they walked deeper inside. Old carpets, rotting food, neglect baked into the walls. But beneath all that, there was another scent. One Milo recognized from his volunteer work at a senior centre. A sick person's room. They stepped into a dim bedroom and there she was. A woman, lying on a low, sagging bed pushed against the corner. Frail, grey-skinned, blanket pulled to her chest as if it weighed 100 pounds. A human being, left like furniture. The stench began to make sense. "Oh, for heaven's sake," the owner snapped and marched toward her. "You could at least sit up. We have guests." The woman didn't respond. Only her fingers twitched slightly. Milo and Zara exchanged another look, this one filled with discomfort and disbelief. "We'll, go check out the backyard," Milo said quickly. They stepped outside and gulped the fresh air as if resurfacing from underwater. "Bail?" Milo whispered. "Finish," Zara murmured through clenched teeth. "We can't just run." Even though that's exactly what she wanted. The two of them leaned against the porch railing, trying to shake off the shock while the owner continued his cold scolding inside. After a moment, Zara spoke what both were thinking. He's trying to sell the house because he wants money for her medical bills. Probably. Or to get rid of the responsibility. Or both. Milo nodded grimly. And the price is insanely low. He kicked a piece of peeling paint off the porch. Too low. They were young, newly married, just graduated from the University of North Carolina. Savings. Modest. Dreams. Big. Jobs. Nothing special yet. A house had never been in their near future plans. Certainly not a whole property. Maybe a condo. Maybe a small apartment. Not this, not now. And yet, this price, this size, in this neighbourhood, it felt like fate had cracked open a door. Still, the image of the woman lying alone in that dark bedroom made Zara's stomach twist. "No," she said. "We can't be the kind of people who buy a house while a sick woman is lying in a corner." Before Milo could agree, the owner stepped back outside, wiping his hands on his jeans as if the woman was something messy he had touched. "So," he said briskly, "what do you think?" Zara opened her mouth to decline politely. And then he said the sentence that stunned them both. "You should know the house comes with her." "What?" Milo choked. The man shrugged like it was nothing more than an inconvenient piece of furniture. "She's dying," he said flatly. "Doctors said she won't make it to Christmas. You buy the house, she stays here until she... you know. Then you do whatever you want with the place." Zara felt something inside her snap. "You're selling your home with your wife still inside it?" "Ex-wife," he corrected. "She signed everything over before the divorce. Legally, the property is fully mine. I just don't want to deal with her care anymore." The casualness of his tone was chilling. Milo actually stepped back. He couldn't hide the disgust etched across his face. "That has to be illegal," he began. The man cut him off. "It's not. She's mentally coherent. She agreed to it. She knows she's dying. She won't be a burden for long." He leaned against the doorframe. "So, you in or out? Plenty of investors are already circling." Zara grabbed Milo's wrist and pulled him away from the porch. They walked down the front steps, down the path, to the curb, in complete silence. Only when they reached the sidewalk did Milo finally speak. "This is insane," he muttered. "And that poor woman. God." He stared back at the house, troubled. But Zara, that was the deal of a lifetime. She knew it too. The numbers made sense. The opportunity was huge. And yet, "How could we live there?" she said quietly, knowing she was inside suffering. They stood there for nearly a full minute. Then the front door opened again. The owner stepped out with his phone in hand, already scrolling through messages. Zara felt a sudden sharp pull in her chest. "Wait," she said. She turned around and was already walking back. Milo blinked. "Zara? What are you—" "We're buying it," she said firmly over her shoulder, because something inside her, something she didn't even know existed, refused to let that woman be left with him. They signed the agreement that same afternoon. On the drive home, Zara stared out the window, thinking of the frail figure on the bed. "What if she's not actually dying?" she whispered. "What if she's just suffering because no one has cared for her?" Milo tightened his grip on the steering wheel. "Then we'll change that," he said. "We won't leave her like that, no matter what." Their conviction grew with every mile. By the time they reached home, they knew they couldn't save the world, but they could save one woman's final months, or however long she had. Zara called her father that evening and told him the whole story, every ugly detail, every shock, every instinct they had ignored. His reaction surprised her. He didn't scold her. He didn't question her judgment. He simply said, "Zara, I'm proud of you." She blinked, confused. "Proud?" "I was planning to help you two with a down payment eventually," he admitted softly. "I just needed to be sure you were mature enough to handle a home of your own." He paused. "And hearing how you defended that woman. I know now my daughter made the right choice in a husband. I'll give you the down payment tomorrow." Zara covered her mouth with her hand. Tears stung her eyes. "Dad, thank you." "Don't thank me," her father said. "Just take care of yourself, and take care of her." 3 days later, Zara's father arrived to see the house in person. Milo had stepped out to buy cleaning supplies, and Zara was giving him a tour when they reached the dim bedroom. The woman lay motionless, her breath shallow but steady. The room smelled stale, unwashed, abandoned. Zara's father, Dorian Vale, froze in the doorway. His entire body stiffened, his eyes widened, his breath hitched. "Is that her?" Zara whispered, confused by his reaction. Dorian didn't answer. He stepped into the room trembling. He stared at the woman's face as if he were seeing a ghost. His voice cracked, broken, low, disbelieving. "Selena?" The woman on the bed flinched. Her eyes shifted toward him. Recognition sparked like a match. She whispered his name, a name she had not spoken in 23 years. "Dorian?" Zara blinked. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Her father knew her. No. He once loved her. The room began to spin as everything she knew about her father, her life, and this house unraveled. This was no coincidence. This was destiny, interference, a wound reopening after decades, a truth clawing its way to the surface. Dorian stepped toward the bed and knelt down. Older now, wiser, but wearing the exact expression of a man who once had his heart broken so severely it never fully healed. "Selena, my God, what happened to you?" Her breath quivered. Her lips trembled. And with those two shattered voices echoing through the house, the real story began. For a long moment, no one moved. Zara stood frozen near the doorway, one hand pressed against her chest, as though steadying her heartbeat. Her father knelt beside the bed, trembling, staring at the broken woman he once knew, no, once loved. And Selena. Her eyes shimmered with tears she seemed too weak to shed. "Dorian," she whispered again. Her voice was raspy, fragile, barely audible, yet it carried a weight that crushed the air in the room. Zara swallowed hard. "Dad, what's going on?" But Dorian didn't hear her, not really. His entire world had shrunk into that tiny dim corner of the room, into the frail fingers resting against the thin blanket. He reached out, hesitating, afraid she might shatter if he touched her. Then his hand gently settled over hers, and Selina let out a trembling breath, like she had been holding it for 20 years. Zara stepped back into the hallway, unsure whether to give them privacy or stay close in case her father collapsed. The smell, the sight, the shock of it all, it was overwhelming. Milo returned moments later carrying grocery bags. His eyes went wide when he saw her pale face. "Hey, you okay?" he whispered. Zara pulled him aside urgently. "Milo. She knows him." "What? Who?" "The woman. Selina. She knows my father. And my father knows her." Milo blinked. "Like, from where?" "I don't know," Zara whispered. "But it's big." Dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. They both turned back toward the bedroom, inching closer but not entering, watching the scene through the half-open door like witnesses to something sacred. Inside, Dorian sat down on the edge of the bed. He hadn't cried in front of Zara since she was a child. He was a quiet, composed man, always calm, always controlled. But now, the tears came fast, hot, unrestrained. "Selina, what happened to you?" he choked out. Selina closed her eyes as if just hearing his voice reopened wounds she had long buried. "You found me," she whispered. "Took you long enough." He let out a broken laugh, half pain, half disbelief. "You disappeared," he said, voice shaking. "One day you were there, the next day you were gone. No phone call, no goodbye. Nothing." Selina's lips trembled. "Dorian, I didn't disappear, I was taken." He stiffened. "By who?" Selina stared up at the ceiling, blinking away tears. "My husband." Zara covered her mouth. Her husband? The same man selling the house? The realization made her stomach twist. She grabbed Milo's arm and mouthed, "Oh my God." Milo nodded grimly. This was no ordinary real estate horror story. This was the aftermath of something darker, something rotten. Inside the room, Selina continued. "After the accident, I couldn't walk well. I couldn't work. I became inconvenient," she swallowed. "He wanted the house. He wanted control. He wanted freedom." Dorian's eyes burned with rage. "That coward forced you to sign everything over." Selina turned her head slightly toward him, shame clouding her face. "I didn't know what else to do. I had no one. I thought you were married and happy." Dorian shook his head violently. "Selina, I looked for you everywhere. I hired a private investigator. I called every hospital in the state. I thought something terrible happened." Selina laughed bitterly, voice weak. "Something terrible did happen." She gestured vaguely at herself. This is what happened." Dorian bowed his head, guilt carving new lines into his face. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. "I should have found you. I should have—" "Stop." Selina's voice, though small, had force. "You didn't owe me anything after what I did." "What you did?" Dorian frowned. "What are you talking about?" Selina's eyes softened. A sorrowful smile pulled at her lips. "I left because I was pregnant." Dorian froze. Every muscle in his body turned to stone. Zara gasped loudly from the hallway, unable to contain her shock. Milo grabbed her hand, grounding her. Inside, Dorian struggled to breathe. You were pregnant," he whispered. "With my child?" Selina nodded slowly. Tears pooled at her temples. "And I was afraid," she confessed. "I was afraid your mother would never forgive me. Afraid you would feel trapped. Afraid I would ruin your life." His hands started shaking. He covered his face. "My life was ruined when you left," he said in a broken whisper. "Selina, I loved you." Selina's breath hitched. "And I loved you too," she whispered. "Maybe still do." It was too much. 20 years of buried love, lost chances, mistakes, and pain spilled into the room like a flood. Zara stepped back, overwhelmed. "Milo," she whispered, eyes wide. I think my father is still in love with her." Milo squeezed her hand gently. "Yeah," he murmured. "It kind of looks that way." Dorian wiped his face with his sleeve, trying to steady his shaking voice. "Selena, what happened to the baby?" Selena looked away. For a moment, Dorian thought he'd break, but then she gave him a weak but sincere smile. "I never had it," she whispered. "I miscarried 3 weeks after I left." He inhaled sharply, pain slashing across his expression. Selena squeezed his hand. "It wasn't your fault," she said quickly. "You didn't do anything wrong. I was stressed, alone, lost. My body couldn't handle it." Dorian looked utterly shattered. He leaned forward and pressed his forehead against her hand. "I should have been there. I should have known." "You didn't know?" Selena whispered. "I made sure of that." The room fell quiet again. Only the sound of the rustling curtains from the open window, the creaking of the old house, and 2 people rediscovering each other after decades filled the air. Outside the bedroom, Zara wiped her cheeks. She didn't even realize she had been crying. "Milo," she whispered. "What do we do?" Milo shook his head. "For now, we help her. We get her cleaned up. We get her to a doctor. We show her what real care looks like." Zara nodded firmly. Her strength returned sharper than ever. "And we take care of Dad too," she added softly. "This is a lot." Milo pulled her into a quick hug. "We've got this," he murmured. And for the first time since walking into the house, Zara believed him. She straightened her shoulders, wiped her tears, and marched toward the bedroom door. Because this house wasn't just a real estate investment anymore. This had become a rescue mission, a family reunion, a second-chance saga about to unfold. And none of them, not Zara, not Milo, not Dorian, not Selena, had any idea how much their lives were about to change. The tension in the house thickened like humidity. The air felt heavy with old pain, new shock, and the strange electricity of fate intertwining 4 lives that never should have crossed again. Zara gathered herself, inhaled deeply, and stepped back into the bedroom. "Dad?" she whispered gently. Dorian wiped his eyes quickly, trying to look composed. "Yeah, I'm okay." He wasn't, but he pretended. Selena tried to shift into a sitting position, but her arms were too weak. The effort alone sent a tremor down her thin frame. Zara rushed to her side. "Please don't move," she said softly. "You'll hurt yourself." Selena blinked, surprised by the kindness in Zara's tone. It had been months, no, almost a year, since someone spoke to her gently. Zara smiled, though her heart ached at the sight of the woman's fragile body. "Can we clean you up a little?" she asked. "Just wash your face, change the blankets, open the windows. It won't take long." Selena swallowed hard. Are you sure?" she whispered. "I don't want to be a burden." Zara's voice cracked. "You're not a burden. You're family now?" Selena gasped softly, as though the word family was something foreign to her, something she hadn't felt in decades. Dorian squeezed her hand a little tighter. "We're not leaving you like this," he murmured. For a moment, Selena's eyes shone with a spark of life, a spark not quite dead yet. Milo rolled up his sleeves. "I'll start cleaning the house," he said. "I'll disinfect everything I can. Open all the windows, bag the trash. This place needs air." Zara nodded. "And I'll help Dad with Selena." "You sure?" Milo asked. Zara gave a small but determined smile. "I'm sure." They got to work immediately. Milo moved through the house like a storm, opening windows, dragging out bags of trash, throwing away rotting food, removing dirty clothes from piles, scrubbing mold off the bathroom tiles, bleaching surfaces that hadn't been cleaned in months. Each swipe of his cloth, each swing of his mop felt like reclaiming the house from the ghost of neglect. Meanwhile, Zara brought in clean sheets, towels, soap, and a soft new blanket she kept in the car. Dorian stayed beside Selina the entire time, still in shock, still overwhelmed, but focused. Zara knelt beside the bed. "May I wash your face?" she asked gently. Selina nodded, cheeks flushing with embarrassment. As Zara wiped her skin clean with warm water, Selina whispered, "I used to be beautiful." Zara didn't deny it. She didn't say empty comfort. She said, "You still are." And in that moment, Selina believed it. Dorian sat on the edge of the bed, his shoulders stiff. "Selina," he murmured, "you said your husband hasn't taken you to a doctor in months." Selina let out a bitter breath. "He said it was pointless, said I was dying anyway, said the car accident ruined me." Her voice broke in the middle. He didn't want a wife who needed care. Dorian's jaw twitched. He clenched his fists. Zara stared, horrified. "That's abuse," she whispered. Selina stared at the ceiling. "Maybe, but people like him. They don't call it that." "What do they call it?" Dorian asked tightly. "Moving on," Selina whispered. "He told me he needed to start fresh. Said he couldn't waste his life waiting for me to die." Zara's hands froze. Milo, overhearing from the next room, slammed a trash bag down with fury. Dorian looked like he wanted to rip the walls apart. "Where is he now?" he asked quietly. Selina looked away. "Living with a co-worker from his job," she murmured. "I heard them laughing together. He thought I was asleep. I wasn't." Zara covered her mouth, sickened. "And he left you here," she whispered. "Alone?" Selina nodded. "For 9 months." Dorian looked down at their intertwined hands. "I swear," he said through gritted teeth, "if I ever see him—" Selina gently squeezed his fingers. "Please," she murmured, "don't. He's not worth your anger." But Dorian's expression said it was too late. The anger had already taken root. Zara noticed something tucked underneath the bed, a plastic grocery bag. "What's this?" she asked, pulling it out. Inside were 3 items: an empty toothpaste tube, a nearly worn-out toothbrush, a travel-sized shampoo bottle with barely a drop, left Zara's heart cracked. "Selina, is this all you've had to clean yourself with?" Selina looked embarrassed again. "He said it was enough." "It's not enough," Zara whispered, voice trembling. "It's nowhere near enough." She felt tears sting her eyes again. Zara stood up abruptly. "I'm running to the store," she said. "Milo, you stay with Dad." Milo nodded without questioning. Zara grabbed her keys and stormed out, fueled by anger and compassion. She was going to buy everything: soap, shampoo, lotion, clothes, fresh towels, a proper toothbrush, toothpaste, conditioner, wet wipes, bed pads, cleansing sponges, new pajamas, blankets, everything a human being deserved. As she drove away, she whispered, "No one is going to treat her like garbage ever again." While Zara was gone and Milo scrubbed the living room floor, Dorian leaned closer to Selina. He lowered his voice. "Selina, why didn't you ever contact me?" Selina blinked slowly. "I tried," she whispered. "Twice." Dorian froze. "What?" Selina stared at the wall. "2 letters, after the miscarriage, after I settled in Charlotte. I sent them to the address I remembered." Dorian inhaled sharply. "I never got any letters." Selina nodded softly. "I figured as much. Marina, your ex-wife, was still living with you then?" Dorian's blood ran cold. Marina, the woman he married out of obligation, the woman who hated Selina simply because Dorian had once loved her, the woman who always sensed she was second. "Selina," he breathed. "Are you saying Marina intercepted them?" Selina closed her eyes. "I think she threw them away." Dorian slammed his fist lightly against his knee. "God, I wasted years. I wasted decades." Selina smiled sadly. "We both did." Milo straightened, wiping sweat from his brow. The house was finally beginning to smell like air instead of decay. Then, knock, 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 a sharp, impatient banging on the front door. He frowned. Who would— He opened the door. A tall man with cold eyes and an even colder smile stood on the porch. "Who are you?" Milo asked, stiffening. The man raised one eyebrow. I'm the owner, he said smugly. Came by to grab a few things. Milo's stomach dropped. This was him. Selina's ex-husband. The man who left her to rot. The man who sold the house with her still in it. The man who didn't deserve the air in his lungs. Milo didn't move. He just stared at him. And upstairs, as if sensing the incoming storm, Dorian slowly rose from the bed, his jaw clenched, his rage simmering, his past and present colliding. Everything was about to explode. Milo stood frozen at the doorway, gripping the frame as if anchoring himself. The man on the porch, Selina's ex-husband, didn't wait to be invited in. He simply brushed past Milo with a dismissive snort. "Excuse me," Milo snapped. But the man didn't even glance at him. He strode inside like he owned the place, because technically, he did. For now. Until the paperwork closed. Until the ink dried. Until they officially took everything away from him. The man's name, Milo remembered the listing, was Reginald Paris, late 40s, tall, broad-shouldered, but with an energy that radiated entitlement, impatience, and something darker. Reginald scanned the living room, noticing the open windows and the cleaning supplies. "Oh, don't bother cleaning too much," he said with a smirk. "Place is a dump anyway." Milo clenched his teeth. "You left a sick woman in your house for months." His voice trembled with disgust. "You didn't even clean her room." Reginald shrugged, unfazed. "She knows how to ask for help. She chooses not to." Milo's eyes burned. "You're unbelievable." Reginald shot him a sharp glare. "Watch your tone, kid. I've dealt with enough backtalk from that woman. Don't need it from you." Before Milo could react, Zara returned from the store, arms loaded with bags. She froze the second she saw him. "You," she whispered. Her voice dropped into a growl. Reginald spun around and smirked. "Well, you must be the little wife." Milo stepped instantly between them, blocking Zara from his line of sight. "Don't talk to her," he snapped. "Ever." Reginald scoffed dramatically. "You two are adorable. Fresh out of college, playing savior. You'll learn soon enough. Life isn't a charity." Zara's eyes flashed. "So you think leaving your ex-wife to rot in a bedroom is normal?" Reginald shrugged, already bored. "She's not my responsibility anymore." Milo took a step forward. "Then why are you here?" Reginald's smile turned razor-sharp. "To remind her of something she seems to have forgotten." The air in the room tightened. "What?" Zara asked, ice in her tone. Reginald tilted his head smugly. "That she has to be out by December 31st. Milo's jaw dropped. Zara staggered. "You can't be serious," Milo said. "I am," Reginald replied calmly. "New Year's Day. The house is mine again. Legally empty. Legally mine to sell again. Or demolish." Zara stepped forward, fire in her eyes. "She signed the house over to you, you monster. Not the other way around." Reginald smirked cruelly. "And you signed a paper saying you buy it with her still inside, so if she's still alive after New Year's, she's your headache." The silence that followed was suffocating. Milo felt sick. Zara felt faint. And then, a voice from the hallway cut the tension like a blade. "Reginald." Reginald froze. He turned slowly. Dorian stood in the hallway, rigid, towering, eyes burning like coals. He looked nothing like the calm, gentle father Zara knew. He looked like a force of nature, swirling with grief and fury. Reginald frowned. "And who the hell are you?" Dorian stepped fully into the light. His tone was low, controlled, the kind of controlled that only barely concealed a storm. "I'm the man you should have feared 20 years ago," he said, "and the man you should fear now." Reginald blinked, thrown off. "Do I know you?" Dorian didn't smile, didn't blink. "You knew Selina before you destroyed her life." Reginald's hand twitched. "Selina?" He laughed, a bitter, mocking sound. "Oh, you must be the old boyfriend, the one she cried about sometimes." Zara gasped. Dorian stepped closer. "You neglected her. You isolated her. You let her waste away. For 9 months she was trapped in that room while you—" Reginald cut him off with a sneer. "Don't take that tone with me. She signed over the house. She wanted me gone. She got what she wanted. She didn't want this. No woman chooses to be abandoned in pain. Reginald waved a dismissive hand. She's dramatic, always has been. She sits there feeling sorry for herself instead of doing anything useful. Zara felt fury shoot through her chest. You left her without toothpaste, she snapped. Without food, without medicine. Reginald looked annoyed. Not guilty, not ashamed, just annoyed. Well, she didn't die, did she? Milo lunged. Zara grabbed him by the arm. Not yet, she whispered sharply. Not here. Not like this. Reginald shrugged and headed toward the bedroom as if intending to barge in. Dorian stepped sideways, blocking the doorway. You're not going in there, he said. Reginald raised an eyebrow. Move. No, Dorian growled. Reginald scoffed. You don't own the house. We will in 48 hours, Milo said sharply. And until then? Reginald asked smugly. I can enter any room I want. He took a step forward. Dorian didn't move. A collision course. Man against man, past against present, cruelty against righteousness. Reginald smirked, leaning close. What's the big deal? She's dying anyway. A hand flew before anyone could stop it. Smack! The slap echoed through the hallway. Sharp, stunning, perfectly delivered. Not from Milo, not from Zara, not from Dorian, from Selina. She stood in the doorway, shaking, weak, barely holding onto the frame, but very much alive. Her palm was red, her breath was trembling, but her eyes were burning. I'm not dead yet, she rasped. Silence, heavy, electric, glorious. Reginald stared at her, shocked she could even stand. Selina continued, voice trembling but fierce. And you will never walk into my room again. Reginald's face tensed. You shouldn't be up, he snapped. You shouldn't be alive, she whispered coldly. But here we are. Reginald stepped back, stunned. Selina's chest rose and fell rapidly. Get out, she whispered. Now. Reginald hesitated. No, Dorian growled. She said, get out. Milo stepped forward. Zara did too. A wall of people. A wall of truth. Reginald looked around, realizing for the first time he was outnumbered, outpowered morally, outclassed entirely. He scoffed bitterly, trying to salvage his pride. Fine, enjoy the house, enjoy the invalid. He stepped backward toward the door. But remember, when she dies, the mess is yours. He walked out, the door slammed behind him. The house, for the first time, felt like it exhaled, and Selina collapsed against Dorian, sobbing. Not from weakness, but from relief, from freedom, from the first step toward a life she never thought she'd see again. For a moment after Reginald slammed the door, the house stayed utterly silent. Not a breath, not a whisper, not even the creak of the old wooden floors. Just the weight of everything finally breaking open and finally letting go. Selina's legs buckled. Dorian caught her instantly, arms wrapping around a body that had once been vibrant, strong and full of life, and that now felt like a fragile whisper of who she had been. It's okay, he murmured. I've got you. Her forehead rested on his chest. She trembled, not from illness, but from 20 years of swallowed emotion breaking free all at once. I didn't think I'd ever see you again, she whispered. Dorian swallowed hard, voice thick. I never stopped looking. Zara felt tears roll down her cheeks. She stepped forward, touching Selina's shoulder gently. You don't have to be afraid anymore, she whispered. We're here. You're safe. Day one of care, Zara returned with bags, soaps, lotions, hair products, new pajamas, towels, warm blankets, even a soft robe. Selina stared at the items, overwhelmed. No one has bought me anything in months, she whispered. Zara smiled warmly. Well, get used to it. We spoil people around here. Selina laughed. A small, broken sound, but a laugh nonetheless. Zara, Dorian, and Milo worked like a team. Milo cleaned the last of the common areas, airing out the house until the smell of mildew and despair faded into something fresher, something almost hopeful. Zara helped Selina sit up properly. It took time. It took care. It took gentle patience no one had shown her in a long time. They washed her hair, softening the tangles. They trimmed away the matted ends. They wiped her face, cleaned her hands. They warmed her towels in the dryer so she wouldn't shiver. Selina cried through most of it. "I'm sorry," she kept whispering. "I'm so sorry you have to do this." "You don't owe us an apology," Zara told her softly. "You deserve care. You deserve dignity." Selina shook her head. "I feel human again." Zara squeezed her hand. "You are human, and we will remind you until you believe it." Night 1. They couldn't take Selina to the hospital yet. It was late, and she was too weak to move safely. So Zara and Milo prepared a temporary medical corner. A humidifier, clean sheets, Vaseline for her cracked lips, supplements, warm meals. And Dorian? He stayed, all night, sitting in a chair beside her bed, holding her hand like he was afraid she might vanish again. Selina whispered once, voice groggy with exhaustion. "You don't need to stay." Dorian leaned closer. "That's where you're wrong," he said. "I need to be wherever you are." Selina's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in months. She slept peacefully. Next day. The following morning, Milo and Dorian helped Selina into the car, gently, carefully. At the hospital, doctors ran tests, blood work, scans, muscle function exams. The results shocked everyone. "She's not dying," the physician said firmly. "She's severely neglected, dehydrated, malnourished, and untreated, but her condition is reversible with proper rehab." Dorian closed his eyes. Then he bowed his head and silently cried. Selina gasped. "You mean I'm not going to die?" "Not anytime soon," the doctor said with a smile, "but you will need months of care. Physical therapy, nutrition, strength training, medication." Selina covered her face, sobbing into her palms. Zara hugged her. "You're going to live," she whispered. "You're going to have your life back." Selina whispered one word through her tears. "Why?" She looked between Zara and Dorian. "Why are you doing this for me?" Dorian took her hands gently. "Because I never stopped loving you, and because you never deserved what happened to you." Selina cried harder. 1 month later. The house was transformed, the walls washed, rooms freshly painted, air purified, floors scrubbed, old furniture removed, a new bed for Selina, a reclining chair, a TV, soft lighting, warm blankets. Selina dressed in clean clothes. She gained weight. Her cheeks filled out. Her hair looked shiny again. Her eyes sparkled with life. Physical therapy made her stronger. She could sit up without help. She could move from bed to chair. She could stand with assistance. Zara visited daily. Milo brought meals. Dorian practically lived there. Selina often looked around with disbelief. "I keep waiting to wake up," she whispered once. Dorian took her hand. "No more nightmares," he said. "Only mornings." She smiled shyly. "Dorian, you're too good for me." Dorian shook his head slowly. "No, I was too foolish to fight for you. I won't make that mistake twice." Selina's breath caught. "Are you saying you still—" "Yes," he said simply. "Always." She broke down crying again. But this time, the tears were warm, healing, hopeful. 2 months later, Reginald saw them in the grocery store first. He froze mid-step. Selina was standing, leaning lightly on a cane, dressed in a stylish blouse and jeans Zara had picked out. Her hair softly curled, her face glowing with health. Dorian pushed the cart. They looked beautiful, radiant, like a couple reborn. Reginald's jaw dropped. He stepped toward them. "Selina, you're alive." Selina turned, calm and steady. "Very much." Reginald stared. "But the doctors, you were dying." Selina smiled sweetly. "No, Reginald, I was neglected." Dorian stepped beside her. "She's thriving now." Reginald's face twisted with envy, regret, bitterness. "That should have been me," he muttered. Selina tilted her head gracefully. No, Reginald. To have this, you needed patience, compassion, loyalty. She squeezed Dorian's hand. And you never had that. Reginald clenched his fists. You ruined the house. No, Selina cut in. You did, Reginald glared, then stormed away. For once, he couldn't twist the narrative. He couldn't manipulate. He couldn't pretend she was the problem, because she stood before him living proof. He lost something precious simply because he couldn't be a decent man. 6 months later, Selina walked without help now. She cooked again, laughed again, took short walks with Dorian, attended Zara's Sunday dinners, baked with Milo in the kitchen. The house was no longer a prison. It was home, warm, peaceful, alive, and on a calm spring morning as birds chirped outside and Zara prepared breakfast, Dorian approached Selina on the back porch. He had a gentle, nervous smile. Selina? She looked up from her tea. Yes? He knelt. Selina gasped. Dorian, 23 years ago, he began softly. I lost you because I was foolish. I let you slip away. I don't want to lose you again. Not now. Not ever. Her eyes filled with tears. He opened a box with a delicate ring. Selina, will you let me love you for the rest of our time? Will you marry me? She covered her mouth. A sob broke free. Yes, she whispered. Yes, Dorian. Yes. He slipped the ring onto her finger. Zara and Milo burst out onto the porch cheering. Selina laughed through her tears. For the first time in decades, her heart felt whole. Her life was hers, and her future was brighter than she ever believed possible.